All right. Hello, hello. Happy March, almost April. And we are so excited. It is spring, although you'd never know looking out the window behind me right now. I'm so ready for sunshine, and I know all of you guys are too. We want to thank everybody for coming and joining us today in our wonderful monthly webinar. We're just going to remind all of you next month, we're taking next month off. So do not be surprised if you don't see anything being posted on our webinars for April, but we're going to be starting up in May, the first Tuesday of every month over the lunch hour. We try to keep it short and sweet so you guys can enjoy eating your lunch at your desk and learning something new every single month. And we've got a fantastic webinar today talking about our secret weapon that we all love when our masks are all coming off, and it's exciting to see people's faces again, but we want them protected, but we want them beautiful too. And so we have Brandon here who's going to be doing a wonderful presentation on Mineral Air. Brandon is the national artist for Mineral Air, and he's their head trainer. He goes all over the country. He's zooming in from the LA area here today to join us, but he's going to be giving us lots of tips and tricks about Mineral Air and all the wonderful things we can learn so we can make the most out of our Mineral Air package. We've also got Amy, who is, in my view, right beside me, as everyone knows Amy, and she loves Mineral Air as well. And we have Gabby, our advanced laser esthetician, who's talking to all of our patients constantly. She's working really hard right now because she's so busy. And then we have our lovely Brandon. So Brandon, I'm going to let you take it away.
Well, thank you for that intro, Dr. Foley, and welcoming everyone in so warmly. I feel like that's giving a little bit of sunshine to my gray LA weather I've been having recently. I hope that everyone's having a great day, and I'm so excited to be a part of this little training webinar and giving these professional tips. As Dr. Foley mentioned, I have been the national makeup artist and educator with Mineral Air for about 3 years now. However, I have been a makeup artist for about 11 years. And out of those 11 years, I used traditional foundations and they worked great. They worked fine. I would find lots of different formulas that would give me kind of an appearance that I like. But when I tried Mineral Air, it literally took precedent over anything else that I've tried before. And it's now the only skincare product that I use, complexion product that I use in my makeup artist kit. We don't sell things like lipsticks or eyeshadows, but it's such a great combination with your already existing makeup routine. And it will just enhance your skin's texture and appearance and look and feel. Because unlike traditional foundations or makeup, which are heavy and lay traditionally like flat on the skin, the Mineral Air lays at a crosshatch, so it allows whatever underneath to show through. And when you're going and getting any type of procedure or treatments, or if you just want to keep looking your best, you want to make sure that your real skin is showing through and that it just looks like you've added a little bit of gloss or a little bit of that dew. So here at Mineral Air, we focus on skin-centric makeup. And if you want to look healthy and your best for years to come, I'm glad that you came here and you are interested in the product. I also put together a little slideshow. We will look through the images and I'll kind of guide you through my little training. Mineral Air is very simple. It does seem like it might be a little bit more formal because of the webinar or need to have the discussion. But when I tell you there's only about 7 slides in my slideshow because the formula is clean, the device is simple, and it's easy to use. So I'll be demoing on myself today. If you do have your devices at home or with you wherever you are, please feel free to reach for it or just take mental notes of the tips that I make, and then you can apply them when you go home or when you apply your makeup the next time. So let me go into a screen share. Here we go. Perfect. And can everyone see the screen? Thank you. Just want to make sure that we have everything on. Okay, so this is Mineral Air. And as you might already know, since most of you are either already existing customers or maybe you might be someone that's new and thinking about getting the Mineral Air, Mineral Air has been around in some type of capacity for about 40 years. It is a Japanese-based company that has been making personal beauty care devices for that long in Japan. And in 2015, they decided to move over to the United States and we're based in San Diego. And then we started expanding, not to every market that we could, but we specifically wanted to keep it in like more of a tight-knit channel with professional outlets. And so that's why we sell mainly to doctors' offices and med spas, where the clients there are going for a little bit more elevated of an experience. So now, if you will look here, the device is a self-contained air misting device. If anyone has ever heard of airbrush before, I hear a lot that people, when they hear the word airbrush, think of either stage makeup or things that are more theatrical, things more heavy or more fuller coverage in nature. And now you can also achieve full coverage with this, but what it does is it has a lot of skin care ingredients in here that allow the skin to still look like skin, and it doesn't dry down to a matte finish. Instead, this is the future of touchless beauty. So it's a self-contained device that sprays out a specific weighted formula. And we have our individual foundations that work specifically to calibrate with the weight of the device. Now, you can't use any regular traditional foundation because the foundation that is here is a very thin liquid formula. Now, a lot of people, when they see it, will try to drop it on their hand like this, and they'll try to rub it in and see what that looks like. But you're skipping the whole point of it, which is the device. And the device has so many benefits, and it literally makes the foundation weightless. And that's what gives it that overall air misted look. And again, you see me trying to avoid the word airbrush because I want to get that preconceived notion of it being heavy and cumbersome out of your head. There's no compressor, there's no hose. You don't have to take multiple pieces apart and clean it every single time. All you have is you have the detachable reservoir head, which is right here, and it has a rubber flap at the top with a little pressure hole, and that allows the air to flow through and to push out through the device. And the liquid foundation gets poured directly into the device, gets shaken before you do that. So once it's in there, you don't need to shake it. The device does all the work for you. And then you have the body of the device. Now the base is the battery, and these are charged via micro USB. And with 2 hours of charging, you get 30 minutes of consistent usage. Now, if I'm spraying my face, I would not be using this on my face for 5 minutes. It would probably be a total of maybe 40 seconds. So you're really only needing to charge this perhaps once every week and a half to 2 weeks, depending on your use. Like we say here, it's cordless, easy to use, TSA approved, and rechargeable. And the best part is all of our products, from the large cleaners to the large foundations, even to the devices, can go with you in your carry-on luggage. So mine goes with me everywhere, especially my Mineral Air Skin device. And if you're someone who maybe makeup is not your thing all the time, maybe use this on your special occasions, this is something you can use every day, about 3 times a day. And the serum that it's included with will give you about 4 to 6 weeks of 3 times a day usage. Now, this is unlike any other mists before. Every time people see me use this, they always will tell me that they're familiar with like the Evian water or like just regular H2O sprays. And there's only water in there. They're just water sprays. So it's a hydration mist, right? But in here, in this elixir mist, we've packed ingredients like hyaluronic acid, vitamin C, there's niacinamide, epidural growth factors, oligopeptides, not illegal peptides, oligopeptides, and sea salt. And it's hydrating as well as balancing. And we kind of consider it like a little skin meditation. The best part is there's no guessing about how much you should be applying, because on the device there's a 30-second preset timer. So as soon as it's finished, it'll just automatically turn off, and then you don't have to guess about how much you should be using. So I just kind of go all about the face. You can go to your drier areas and you can see the mist just fully stops. And what's great about these is, unlike the foundation devices where you don't want to keep extra product in here, with this skincare device, since there's no pigment, it won't dry down. So you can keep this filled with you and then keep it in your purse or in your pocket, in your car, at your desk at work, and just give yourself a little bit of a hydration mist throughout the day, because you don't want to put on another heavy layer of creams, especially if you have makeup on. So this won't disturb makeup, but it can also be used as a refresher, and it can be used on clean skin as well. And the reason why touchless beauty is so important is because, and I know people will tell me that they do clean their brushes, but let's be real. We don't clean them as often as they should be cleaned. And 72% of people admit to never washing their makeup brushes. Some people have said they didn't know they were supposed to wash their beauty sponge because they thought that the water cleaned it. And makeup products and bacteria will get trapped in there. And if you're getting anything done to your skin or just caring for your skin in general, you don't want to be adding any like old bacteria onto the skin because it can give you irritation. It can lead to other things that can be worse, or basically you want to be making sure that your hands are clean, your products are clean, and your devices are clean. And so with this, it's really wonderful because if you have this in one household, you can say have one reservoir head for you. You can have one for your daughter, your sister. If your husband's got some redness too, I've used it on people from ages 13 to like 83 and everyone in between. I would say that there's a reason for this, and it's great for lots of different reasons. I've used this on a full coverage bride at a wedding, and I've used it to do a simple like color correction on the groom as well. So it's very buildable and it's very adaptable depending on your use and what it is that you want it for. Like I mentioned also with our clean formulas, they're formulated without any parabens, no talc, no phthalates, mineral oils, no gluten, there's no BHA, no BHTs, no synthetic dyes, and they're also fragrance free. And the great thing is that in the foundations, there's ingredients like hyaluronic acid, pomegranate juice extract, there's ceramides, squalene. So it's very hydrating, and that's what helps it maintain that dewy-like finish. Although it will dry down on the skin, but it maintains that satin, healthy glow finish. Now, if you wanted it to look more fuller coverage, it can also be used in conjunction with certain other products. Like if you wanted a full matte appearance, you can use a slight amount of translucent powder just on the areas where you would like to be matte, and you'll be good for the whole entire day. But we also have a setting mattifier that might sound a bit daunting to some people because you don't want to mattify the skin. However, our setting mattifier is actually like a wear extender. So it utilizes ingredients like kaolin clay to help regulate the sebum in the skin, which allows the makeup to last about 2 to 4 hours longer than normal. So if you're someone with oily skin, or you're someone who maybe doesn't like that much of the dew, you can also use this before makeup and do like 2 light layers and then apply this after makeup, kind of like a makeup finisher. But again, this is not going to give you like a matte powdered finish. So it's not going to emphasize any fine lines, or it's not going to age the skin any further. It's just going to help set it even better. So that's something I like to bring up just because calling it a setting mattifier can make it sound like, well, I don't want to look matte. I want to look healthy and dewy. And don't be fooled. It is a good product to use, especially in conjunction with. There are 11 shades of the foundation. And the greatest part about the foundations are that where they're manufactured in Japan, that they are made with titanium and zinc, and they're rated SPF 30. Now, since they're manufactured in Japan and not manufactured in the States, I can't say that it is SPF 30 here, because of regulation. However, I can tell you that there is titanium and zinc in the formula, and those will give you a light assisted amount of sun coverage, but you should still be applying your normal SPF sunscreen just because you want to make sure you're getting full coverage. And especially because you might not be using a full coverage of foundation from your forehead to your chin. So make sure that this is just helping you with extra sunscreen, but it's not giving you the full benefit, but it's still a positive. So the foundation is a 4-in-1. I mentioned that you don't have to use any setting powders or sprays if you don't want to. It is a primer, a concealer, a hydrator, and a pigment. And it's really great for covering redness, hyperpigmentation, melasma, any type of bruising from injection marks. It's really great also at covering under eye circles. And if you're someone who is on the fair to medium skin, the fairest shade porcelain has a lot of peach in it. And that tone can be really great for using as a corrector on the skin if you want to cover up any type of hyperpigmentation or melasma on those lighter skin tones. And then for darker skin tones, for medium to deep, I can use the shade Fresh Peach, which is like a coral blush. And I'll show you how I apply that first just to correct the under eye, allow that to dry, and then I would go in with my normal foundation to kind of even out the whole area. And that kind of just brings the whole face together. So you can really obtain multiple different benefits from this one device that is self-contained. So you're really going to become like a pro artist at your home or in front of your screen. And you can apply just like me, because once you get it in your hand, you can automatically feel the pressure of the air. And when you feel that pressure of the air, you can almost guide yourself without having to look into the mirror. And that's how comfortable that you will get with it. There are 3 shades of the blushes and 1 bronzer. Now the blush and bronzer formulas are formulated without the titanium and zinc, but the formulas are very similar to the foundations. Aside from having a foundation pigment, they just have a little bit of a color pigment for those. Now this is also like a before and after. So when I'm gonna do the training, I'm gonna start by going over just one side, and then I'll complete the whole face so that you can then see the difference that it makes. And then if you want, I can show you how to have more of a fuller coverage look, or more of a evening look, if you'd like to take your product from just being coverage to being a full on makeup product and tool in your arsenal for beauty. Because we're always looking for something that'll help or make things simpler. And trust me, when your foundation, your blush, and your contour or your bronzer all comes from one thing, you're gonna have a much easier time than using those dirty sponges and brushes. Trust me, it's for your own benefit. So now we get into the Q&A and some demos. So if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to send them through, text them to us, and I can answer them either throughout or afterwards, depending on what is best or what works best for everyone. I suppose we can just get into the demo if there isn't any of those. So I'm going to close this out. Now I'm back here, I feel like a professional in this webinar. I'm just okay, so color correcting.
I know, I'm gonna be interested to see you color correct, because that, well, so I got pity passed for makeup in school. That was, they said, just let her through. Don't worry about it. So this is the one thing I'm able, like I figured out. This is mascara.
Oh,
so,
oh good.
Yeah.
And honestly, when your skin is glowing and even and you have a little bit of lash, I feel like that's it, you know? A little lip balm, call it a day. Mm-hmm. We like to keep things simple. And honestly, when I'm really happy that we're in an age now where people want to show more of their skin and more of their natural features and just emphasize what they already have, or just like make those a little bit better. So this is just like an extra tweak to like either your skin complexion or glow, but it's still going to show that real you. And so even when people say like, oh, this doesn't look like me, I'm like, that's you. It's just a little bit of pigment over the top that just gave it a little bit of a gloss. Like if I got a wax on my car, it's still the same car, just a little shinier. So I'm gonna, oh, also, if anyone is following along with me, again, for the fairer to medium skin tones, you're gonna be using during this step, using the porcelain. And if you're medium to deep, my skin tone range, then you'll wanna use the fresh peach. So for color correcting, I have a bit of darkness under my eye. It's nothing that's too bad, but I just wanna have that area be a little bit brighter. So I'm gonna use my fresh peach blush. I'm gonna give it a shake before I apply it into the device, because since there is that hole in the top, you wanna make sure you're not shaking the device. Also, make sure when using, do not ever turn over. You wanna make sure that it's upright so the device can properly pull the foundation from here and push out to have an effortless, seamless application. So you wanna always open the reservoir head, and these flaps turn all the way around, so you can completely get it out of the way in case anyone's having any problems with like the drops getting onto the rubberized flap or just making a mess. You can get that out of the way. And if you need to clean it better, this flap also comes fully out. And don't worry, because it does easily go back in so that you can just get a cleaner device. There we go. And so for color correcting, you want to make sure that even when you're applying the foundation, that you're using as much product as you need as you go. Because with the foundations, once they're opened, they do have an 18-month shelf life, but you want to make sure that you're not wasting and that you don't have a lot of product to clean through every time that you use the device. Now, like I mentioned, the device is, the foundation does dry down on its own. So that means that if you leave it in the device, it will dry down and it will kind of clog the nozzle. So make sure that to have the best optimized performance, you just make sure to keep it clean and keep the device charged. So I'm going to go in with about 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's also counting the drops can be great because you can come up with a formula. Say that you are in between seasons right now. It's spring. So you maybe had a winter shade, you had a summer shade. Like for me, I use these shades tan and deep. And right now I feel like I might be between them. So for a full coverage, maybe I would use 5 drops of tan and 5 drops of deep. And it's also great to have 2 colors because you can always mix and match or use a little bit more of another or use a little bit less of a different one. So I'm going to close the reservoir flap and I'm going to need to use my mirror for this. It might be a little hard just because it's so close to my under eye. But when you're applying, I'm going to hold the device maybe about 1 to 2 inches from my face. And I'm going to apply these quick little power shots. So these little quick taps will let me see where the product's coming out before I go in and spray like a big area. So I'm going to go in right under my eye. And then I can almost feel it. So you can see how I've applied a light layer of pigment and how it's brightened up that area. And again, that's not concealer. It's just a little bit of the peach. And apply a little bit more. There we go. And you can see here how that peach has brightened up and lifted this area. You can definitely see there's a little bit of warmth, but you know how you've seen on social media where people will make their complete face orange to color correct? You don't need that much. You just need to correct the area so that it's evened out, but you don't want to create a different color that you then need to cover up with like a full coverage foundation. So less is always more. And then allowing this layer, as you can see, it has a little bit of that glow, and that's because it's just applied. So just give it a little second to dry down. And if there's no more product left over in the device, just make sure that it's all sprayed out. And then you can actually use the air after there's no product left in here to assist in the drying time and kind of use it to help set the makeup.
Yeah.
Right?
I never thought of that.
I didn't either. That's great.
And it's great instead of like, you don't want to blow on the face or using your hand can be great, but it will just take a lot longer and a lot more physical effort. Whereas we're here for simpler and easier. And look how bright that eye looks now compared to this one.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Big time. I never would have figured that out.
Right? You wouldn't think that like a peach blush could really do that, but it works. And once I go in with the foundation, you'll see like the little bit of warmth that is here because my skin tone is a little bit more yellow on my highlights, but my tan does go a bit more on like the neutral olive side. So we play around with just a few different shades. And again, I'm going to just try to keep everything that we do on this side of my face, and I'll keep this side bare just so you can see the differences as we go along. So easily.
We have a quick question. Now, sorry to interrupt. We have a quick question. It says, Dr. Foley has a great SPF 50 mineral powder sunscreen. How would you use it? And at what point in the application process would you use it?
Oh, okay. That's a great question. Actually, if you're using the mineral powder sunscreen, that would be something that would be good for touch-ups throughout the day. So if you wanted to go in and like retouch up the sunscreen, which is great about powder sunscreen because you're not going to get more extra texture or weight on this face, it's just going to help set the makeup down. And especially if you have like a glowier complexion or a little bit oilier of a skin type, it'll be great just to keep the makeup on all day. And if you use it as a primer or just use the powder SPF before you go in with this, it will really help to allow the foundation particles to lock onto the face because it will have more of a base to stick to. Okay. And if that answered your question, I hope that it did. But if you want any other clarification, please feel free to pop up and ask that too. And now that I went in with my peach corrector, now you would go in with like your foundation shade. So again, you just hit those 2 little triggers on the side of the reservoir head, pop that off. and easily you can get into your next shade. Let's just take this one, pop that on. And for me, I'm going to look at the two shades because I want to make sure I have the right one. So this tan is actually looking like a really good color for me right now. So let's just use a few drops of tan to double check. And as you notice, I also shook the foundation before I am going to apply the drops. And for about a light coverage, you want to apply about 10 to 12 drops. For about medium coverage, you want to apply about like 15 to 20 drops, and fuller coverage could be like 25 drops or more. It really just depends on your face shape, and it depends on the coverage that you're looking for. And the best part is that after you've used it once, you'll realize, oh, maybe I don't need 25 drops. For what I want, maybe I just need 10 drops. And then if you're like, oh, maybe this is too much, then you can say, oh, maybe I just need 8 drops. So just remembering how many drops that you use will be beneficial to waste less product and to get most use and longevity out of your purchase as well. And I was just looking at the corrector and I'm like, oh, wow, it does look very good. Talk to even myself. Oh.
And Brandon, this is buildable, right? So you could like spray your face, and if you're like, oh, that's really just not dark enough, you can put more drops in and spray it again, correct?
Completely. And then I'll show you also like steps as I'm going to apply the foundation. I'll show you first like what a light coverage will look like, and I'll go all over, and then I'll show you a bit more medium, and then I'll even show you a more full coverage. So for the face, you typically don't need a lot of foundation on the forehead unless there's something that you're trying to cover up, because this area just usually is not the problematic area. So the areas that are usually on concern of people's faces are like right through from the cheekbones across the nose. So you'll probably want to start applying the makeup in those areas that you'd want to apply more first. So I always start off right here in the cheek, and I blend left towards the nose. And then I also do the same as I go up towards the forehead. So you always want to start with your device about 2 to 3 inches from the face. And when you're applying, also ensure that you're not expecting the product to be coming out of this level, because the nozzle is much lower. So if I was spraying my face and thinking that this was going here, it's actually going all the way down here. And that can sometimes make your blush look too low, or maybe the bronzer is like really deep and then you need it a lot higher. But I'll also show you how, if you get anything, fix that. So first I'm going to go in and apply a light layer to show you what that would look like. And it's also, as Dr. Foley has mentioned, or to me, I think before, that the product is also ophthalmologist tested, non-irritant for the eyes. And it also has a precision mister. So it's not going to be spraying all over the face or all over into the eyes. It also somehow does not cling to eyelashes or eyebrows. It will, however, cling to the lips. So if you are spraying around the mouth area, I always suggest pulling them in just so you can get that area and not have it stuck there. So I'm going to apply in light circular motions. And as you can see, like that added that like healthy glow right there. And I have, that's like probably like right here, a light layer.
That looks really nice.
And see how my skin here almost looks like it's, my skin here almost looks so faded that it's a bit more in the pink tone. And then over here, the foundation kind of makes me matched a little bit more with my forehead, because my cheeks are so void of color. And I can see right here how this tint is so fair. And then this one like adds a little bit more of like my true undertone, which is that yellow tone. So it almost looks like this is the natural side. And this I might have like a light sunscreen on that was too light for my skin. But and then also, if you're applying kind of trying to get this area right here where like the face naturally folds and curves over, you want to ensure that you're not going in just flat with the device. Instead, go a little bit higher and tilt the device at a slight angle. And that way you can get that little fold area without applying it directly into the eye or without getting it in the wrong spot. And this is how I would get kind of like an overall medium coverage, or sorry, light coverage. And then I will add a little bit more. And again, I only applied about 12 drops in the device. And it hasn't finished yet. So let's see how much coverage we can get. There we go. So then this now is more of a medium coverage.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, also the foundation, I went lightly and just sprayed it under the eye, and that helped to cover the peach. So now it doesn't look warm or oddly different colored. It's all very unison and together. And so also when you're applying, you want to make sure you don't spray any on the eyelids, because since the formula is so hydrating and thin, it will crease on that area. However, if you wanted to color correct, you can spray a little bit of it on the brow bone area, especially right here at the high point of that. And that will help give you a little bit more of that coverage. You see like right there, without getting any of the creasing on your eyelids. But it still like brings in the color from my face over here, rather than there being like the darkness and then the brightness under my eyebrow. It just kind of marries everything together.
Wow.
As you can see,
That's
now,
really
this
cool.
is half. Wow.
I mean,
Love when it works out.
he's
Nice job.
gorgeous, but
Yes, yes.
it helps that you're
gorgeous.
gorgeous already,
Fantastic.
but you know.
Oh, thank you. And we don't stop right there. So if you wanted to apply that, you can easily get the coverage using the brightener, and you can also use your foundation. But if you wanted to, say, add a little bit more dimension to the face, you could add either a darker shade of your foundation, or we have one universal bronzer, which you can also buy separately. If you get any of the spa packages from Foley Vision Center, if you go online, you would only be getting one device plus one reservoir head. And for the same price at your med spa partner, you're getting an additional reservoir head, which is a $65 value included. And that means that you have the freedom to either choose a blush, or you can get a bronzer, or you can just get a different color foundation for your winter or summer shade, whatever really works for you and your lifestyle and your like kind of beauty routine.
I think what I like best about this makeup is because my skin is more mature. It doesn't settle in the fine lines and the wrinkles. That's what I love most about this makeup.
And that's a great part too, is because I think I mentioned to y'all before just we started, was that unlike traditional foundation, which lays flat on the skin, the Mineral Air lays at a crosshatch. So as you can see, I went over and got coverage on my face, but my beauty mark is still there because I tried not to cover that up. Now, if I did want to cover that up, I could go over with my blush and then go over with a little bit of the bronzer. So this is, I'm taking a little bit more of the Fresh Peach, and I'll show you how I can kind of spot cover that. So if I go in right here, I'm doing those quick little power shots. And see how that's also like blurred that out already? So once I go over with like my regular blush, that would be much lighter and like not appear as prominent. And you can see right there, it's raised, but so that's why you see a little bit more of the texture prominent, but when I'm looking directly at my face, like you don't see it. So there's many different benefits to it, really. And if you wanted to add a little bit of, let's use the blush since we have it already with us. I'm gonna go and apply about 4 or 5 drops. And I'm gonna show you how I can add that blush shape and add more dimension to the face. Now, instead of applying, like making yourself smile, because when we smile and then apply, when we let it go, our face goes back low. So then when we thought it was all the way up here, it ends up back down here. And we don't want it to be there. So if you want it to be there, like as if you're smiling, you wanna apply it there. So keep your face at rest, how it normally would be, because we're not always smiling. I mean, unless you are, that's great. Keep smiling, everyone. Don't want to turn anybody away from it. But if you're applying your blush, I would say keep the blush from either the tail of the brow or the end of the eye, and follow that line right downwards. And then you want to keep the blush from there up to the hairline. And that will keep the cheeks looking very high and sculpted. If you go a little bit lower, it can also be a look. However, if you just want more of a lifted look, then you should apply a little bit higher on the cheekbone. So I'll show you as I apply from here. And there's not much technique that either goes in with the blending. I'm literally gonna make a motion that's sweeping just back and forth. And I'm going very slow. And I'm a little bit further than I would be for foundation. And I also take the color and bring it a little bit into the temples. As you can see how that added that little bit of warmth. And unlike adding like a cream or a stick blush onto the face and being like, oh no, this is so pigmented, what am I gonna do? This really allows room for buildability, and it adds a slight amount of coverage while also adding to that dew. So since we don't have a highlighter, what we do have is products that create natural highlights. So what a highlighter does is it replicates having like a light being beamed on your face all the time with more of a pigment that's silver or gold or some kind of more skin-like bright shine. What we do is we capture the light. So when you turn, it looks as if maybe you just had lunch outside, maybe you went for a light jog, but you just seem a little flushed and very healthy and dewy. And again, if you wanted to take that down, I would apply a little bit of the setting mattifier, but this will dry down a little bit more in the next minute or so. So this is a great way to apply the blush. And if you wanted to get one more step out of it, you can take your device and like I apply the foundation on that brow bone, look at how this creates more dimension when I apply this right in that same area. And it also kind of brings the blush into the look. So it looks almost like an eyeshadow look. So this is always a really funny. It's also a very fun way to add color into your routine without doing too much, because sometimes the glitter and the liner, it's just not for everyone. So if you just want to add a little touch of color, it's a great way to brighten your day. And to have a real authentic sun-kissed look, I always like to apply a little bit of the product right on the bridge of the nose where the sun would naturally hit. And you can even apply a little bit at the tip because maybe it's rainy where you are and you want to look a little bit red-nosed.
All right,
so this is...
Sorry, Brandon, to interrupt.
No,
but,
yeah.
Terry says, Brandon, I call it Miracle Air. It covers up rosacea reds too.
Oh, we love that. Miracle Air. Love is in the mineral air.
And then she also said, fantastic webinar event. Dr. Foley, are you also selling the skincare device?
Yes, we totally are. Definitely. And that's the reason why we have Brandon here and we're kind of launching it again. Because I think, you know, as many things, we have so much to talk about with everybody. This gets easily forgotten, but it is so lovely. And I will say, I love, because this month I was out on the road every weekend lecturing. And I'm so thankful in my carry-on. I only do carry-on. I'm so thankful that it's so easy to travel with. So thank you for reminding us that it's JSA pre-check. You know, that is, I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't say enough.
Yeah, it can go with you everywhere. That's the miracle of it all. And we're almost done here with like the whole application. The one thing I'm going to add now is showing you how to apply the bronzer. And then we'll just apply a light layer of the setting mattifier and we will see like what the full face looks like on this side. So far, I think it's already looking very healthy, very natural. We have the coverage that we want. As you can see also, like now the mole looks completely gone. I do like having my mole normally. I usually wipe the makeup off of it, but just for reference of what you can do with it. So for the bronzer, I'm using a lot less, probably closer to the same amount of drops that you would use for the blush. So I'm gonna apply, let's say 6 drops. And then it's important when applying the bronzer, I think this is one of the more pigmented sprays that we have, whereas the blush is a bit more forgiving. You can kind of go further out. This one, you wanna make sure you don't go too close, because if I go very close, you see how it'll look almost like a spot and it looks very wet, versus if I go further out, it will gradually build up in a very natural manner. So I like to start by always adding a little bit of the bronzer to the kind of temple / hairline area. This will also mimic what the sun does to us, where the sun's hitting us from above. So we normally get the tan right here. And usually our foreheads are always darker than the rest of our faces. So I'm gonna start about a 4-finger distance from the face. And I'm gonna apply that in the temple corner. And you can see here how this is the bright side with no product. And this is the side that has the warmth on it. It almost mimics the same color that's coming here from the blush. And what's really nice is if you're using the Fresh Peach blush, is that the bronzer is like a terracotta brick shade. So it blends really, really nicely with the Fresh Peach blush. And then if you're using the bronzer, you don't want to apply it here because we just brightened that area up. What you want to do is just apply a small amount right under the cheekbone. So right under here, because either the contour or bronzer, so it would be technically contour, bronzer, and then you do blush above that. So I'm going to keep this kind of, also if you don't know where your cheekbones are, you literally can just feel them about and put the fingers on the face. Also, you see I'm flipping my fingers over to not use my fingertips because those are the dirty parts. I'm lifting right here. So that's where my cheekbones naturally are. So to help lift those up, I'm going to help support this structure and make this look darker. So that's where I'm applying the bronzer. Let me look into this mirror. And again, I'm just using that back and forth motion. And then you also want to apply a little bit right on the side of the nose and take that right above the brow. And then that would be kind of our finished look. As you can see, the bronzer added that warmth that's right here because the foundation itself is a bit more on the yellow tone side. So we've added all this beautiful warmth here and how the bronzer has really married well with the blush. And I can use, either you can use the device. I feel like I have some more drops in there, so I can't just spray it on, but this I think looks almost like this is before and this is after.
Leslie would like to know, how can we figure out what color or shade we would use?
Oh, sure.
We'll color match you.
We'll help you. We'll definitely color match you.
And we have these little color charts too. So in the office, you can kind of go through, we have 11 different shades and they're highly adaptable. So it might seem like a lot of the makeup brands nowadays are like coming out with 40 shades in the range, 50 shades in the range, which is great, but it can make things a little bit more difficult when you're searching for a single shade and you're one person. And if you're not too in the know about the undertones and things, then these can definitely help because they'll say like light skin tones with warm undertones, or bisque, which is like kind of like are more fair, but for someone with more of that pink undertone in their skin. Medium is great for anyone with maybe a bit more of that olive in their skin tone. They tend to tan a little bit more easily. The medium tan is for people that might want to use, if they use medium, chances are they can use medium tan as a really natural bronzer because it will be a little bit more on the red side. So if someone who gets like, who's easily sunburned, but in the light to medium sun tone range, they'll be medium tan. Sienna is a shade that is more of like a peachy tone. So think my skin tone range, but someone that's more on the peachy side. And then amber also is a shade that I can use to brighten up my under eyes if I wanted to use like a concealer shade. But today I use the shade tan as my all over foundation shade because it's a little bit sunny here. So I'm getting a little bit more sun than usual.
And just for context, the three of us, we're all light is our shade. And we look very, very different. Where it fits all of us without it looking like we're wearing a mask.
Exactly.
So it kind of blends with your natural skin tone. Which, speaking of products, we have a giveaway.
Yes, we do.
So this week, what we're doing is we're giving away the device plus the 2 little chambers. So you can decide whether you want to share it with your partner, friend, whoever, or you can have a blush, bronzer, whatever your heart desires. We are also going to be doing 20% off all Mineral Air devices as well as the products. So we have the big foundation bottles. We have little travel size foundation bottles, or these are also the size of the bronzer and blush comes in. And since we're having a little lunch meeting, I have my I Love Meetings mug. Go ahead and pull the winner.
Pull the winner.
I thought the mug was part of the giveaway.
This is so awesome. I never get to do this. Miss Leslie.
Leslie, congratulations.
Yay!
Oh, someone's trying it today.
Woohoo! Yeah, you'll have to come by. We'll have it ready for you. And oh my gosh, it's been so wonderful. Brandon, I've learned so much. I can't wait now to just take all this stuff off and restart from scratch so I can do it properly. I've always wanted something easy because I'm not good at this. So it was so wonderful to have you here with us today. And we'll be posting all of this so that way you guys can rewatch and relearn at your leisure from the comfort of home, because trust me, practice makes perfect, right?
Of course. And I'm so happy to share all this information with everyone. And if they need any other information on how to clean, how to blush, how to bronze, contour, how to achieve like all these different looks, they're all available on our Mineral Air Instagram. I believe it's mineral_air, and you'll be able to find all those extra videos on how to get just even more uses out of your device. I make a lot of those videos, so it'll be me and my information as well, or you can just rewatch this demo.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll make sure Hillary, who does our social media, definitely puts that out because our patients will really appreciate it. And I need those reminders. I'm not.
Oh yeah, of course.
Spring chicken.
And that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much. Oh, this has been great. We hope all of you enjoy it. And of course, we look forward to seeing all of you again in the very first Tuesday in May. We'll be, sending things out on social media. Next month, we're off for readjusting things. Brandon, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I've learned so much. And of course, our wonderful Amy and Gabby, who are pitch and hitting for Stevie. Stevie's out on vacation this week, darn it. And so she'll be back in May. Trust me, she'll be back because we know everybody misses Stevie too. Brandon, thank you. Thank you, sir. And
thank you
we
so
look
much,
forward
Brandon.
to seeing you in the future. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Dr.
Have a
Foley.
nice
Thank you,
day.
Amy and Gabby, for your help today. And anytime you need me, just let me know and I'll be back for some more tips and probably, hopefully in person for an event one day. So we'll see, and keep me posted.
All right.
Have a great rest
Bye,
of
everybody.
your day.